Welcome to Intel Focus's review series. Today is April 14, 2025. We're doing a deep dive today into the Taurus KEPD 350. It's quite a fascinating piece of European military tech, an air-launched cruise missile. We want to really break down what it can do, where it is now, and why it matters strategically, especially with everything going on.
Absolutely. And we're pulling from, technical reports, expert analysis, really trying to understand its design philosophy and its operational context. The Taurus isn't just another missile. It represents a particular way of tackling deep strike challenges.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Development. It came from Taurus Systems GmbH, right? A joint venture, MBDA Deutschland, and Saab Bofors Dynamics. What was the specific need they were trying to fill?
Well, the main driver was needing a weapon that could hit targets far away, targets that were heavily protected, think deep bunkers, command centers, that sort of thing. And crucially, they wanted something that allowed the launch aircraft to stay well clear of enemy air defenses, standoff capability.
Right, minimizing risk to the pilots and the expensive jets. That makes sense. So let's dig into the tech. What makes the Taurus capable of doing that deep strike job?
Okay, so physically it's subsonic. It's a bit over 5 meters long, weighs around 1,400 kilograms. The real punch comes from its warhead, the Mephisto. It's about 480 kilograms.
Mephisto. That stands for Multi-Effect Penetrator, highly sophisticated and target optimized. Quite an aim. What's special about it?
It's the dual charge system. There's a precursor charge designed to basically breach the outer defenses of a hardened target. Then the main charge follows through that breach and detonates inside, maximizing damage within the structure itself. It's very effective against reinforced concrete bunkers.
So it makes its own door before knocking. Clever. How does it get to that exact point, though? Especially if, say, GPS is being jammed.
That's where the guidance system really shines. It's multi-layered for redundancy. It uses GPS, sure, but also an inertial navigation system, so it can keep track of its position even without GPS signals. Then there's terrain reference mapping. It compares the ground below to a stored digital map, constantly correcting its course.
So it reads the landscape.
Exactly. And for the final attack run, it uses an infrared imaging seeker. This locks onto the specific thermal signature of the target, ensuring very high precision. Even if the target is camouflage or if GPS is unreliable in that terminal phase, it makes it tough to fool.
That does sound robust.
Yeah.
What about getting there? Range and stealth.
Power comes from a Williams turbofan engine, giving it a range officially stated as over 500 kilometers. That's significant standoff distance. And to survive the trip, it flies low, really low. It uses that terrain-following capability we mentioned to hug the contours of the Earth, staying below the radar coverage of many defense systems.
Sneaking under the radar, literally.
Pretty much. And often, for hitting really tough targets, it'll do a final maneuver, a quick climb, and then a steep dive onto the target.
Why the pop-up?
2 reasons, mainly. It adds kinetic energy for better penetration, and it gives a better angle to strike the top of, say, a hardened bunker.
Okay, that paints a clear picture of its capabilities.
Right.
Now, who actually uses this system?
The primary operator is Germany. Their Luftwaffe has an estimated stockpile of around 600 units, though likely not all are operational at any given time. They're integrated onto their Tornado Strike aircraft and also the Eurofighter Typhoons.
Have they used them in combat?
No, not Germany. They are used regularly in NATO exercises, though, practicing these kinds of strike missions.
And besides Germany?
The only other confirmed country operating Taurus is South Korea. They bought around 260 missiles. For them, it's integrated on their KF-16s and their F-15Ks. It's a really core part of their kill chain strategy.
Kill chain. Explain that a bit.
It's their preemptive doctrine aimed at North Korea. The idea is to detect an imminent missile launch or attack and strike the source before it happens. So Taurus missiles are earmarked for hitting North Korean command posts, missile sites, artillery, many of which are suspected to be buried or hardened.
So a very specific deterrent role in that theater.
Yeah.
Any other interested parties? You mentioned Spain and Saudi Arabia in the outline.
Right. Spain looked at it pretty seriously for their Eurofighters, but as far as public information goes, no deal was finalized. Saudi Arabia has also reportedly shown interest, probably because of its bunker-busting capabilities given regional threats, but again, no confirmed procurement. One factor that might limit its wider appeal is platform integration. It's not necessarily a simple plug-and-play system for every type of fighter jet.
Right. The integration cost and complexity can be a barrier. Okay, let's shift to the strategic picture, especially recently. The war in Ukraine has really put long-range strike weapons in the spotlight, hasn't it?
Absolutely. It's led to intense debate, particularly in Germany and within NATO, about potentially supplying systems like Taurus to Ukraine. The argument being it could give Ukraine a much-needed capability to hit high-value targets deep behind Russian lines, logistics hubs, command centers, perhaps bridges.
And that brings us to the Crimean bridge issue, which caused quite a stir.
It certainly did. Early this year, 2025, Friedrich Merz, the CDU leader in Germany, suggested Ukraine could use Taurus to target the bridge. That provoked a very, very strong reaction from Moscow. Dmitry Medvedev issued some particularly sharp personal remarks. It really highlights how sensitive Russia is about that bridge and the escalatory potential they see in weapons capable of striking it.
It's a clear example of the political weight these weapons carry. How does Taurus stack up against its main competitors, like the Storm Shadow or the American JASSM?
Good question. Storm Shadow, or Scalp PE, as the French call it, and the US AGM 158 JSSM are the main peers. They all offer long-range precision strike. Storm Shadow Scalp PE has seen significant combat use, notably by Ukraine. JSSM has a wider integration across many platforms and various versions with different ranges. Taurus's main claimed advantages often revolve around its sophisticated guidance, especially that resilience in GPS-denied areas and the specialized Mephisto warhead for penetration.
So maybe less combat-proven than Storm Shadow, less widely used than JSSM, but potentially more capable against specific types of very hard targets or in tricky electronic warfare conditions.
That seems to be the niche it occupies, yes. Each system has its strengths and trade-offs regarding range, warhead, stealth, guidance, and, importantly, platform availability.
Looking at the big picture then, what's the overall strategic significance of a weapon like Taurus in today's world?
Well, in a security landscape that feels increasingly uncertain, systems like Taurus represent a critical capability for both deterrence and, if needed, projecting power precisely and at range. Its existence, its deployment by Germany and South Korea, it shapes military planning and diplomatic calculations. For Europe, it's a significant indigenous capability, reducing reliance on, say, U.S. systems for certain deep strike missions. It's part of that whole discussion around European strategic autonomy and defense capabilities.
It really is more than just the hardware. It's deeply tied into strategy, deterrence, and geopolitics.
Exactly. The Taurus KEPD 350 is a testament to advanced European engineering, offering this potent deep strike capability. And its strategic importance is only magnified by current global tensions, placing it right at the center of some very tough debates about security, escalation, and the future of defense in Europe and beyond.
It really encapsulates the complex relationship between military technology, strategic goals, and the difficult political decisions that come with possessing such power.
It does. The technical sophistication, the deployment choices, the political fallout, it's a fascinating case study. It forces us to think about that balance between having the capability and the immense responsibility that comes with deciding if, when, and how to potentially use it.